tomorrow.
Good evening. My name is Linda Monchik. I met Chris Carreiro last fall at Bristol Community College, where he is studying to earn his degree in business administration. In my speech class, I was impressed with Chris's ability to communicate, not only with his fellow students, but with me. His confidence, his desire to learn, and his expertise in debating was extraordinary. I knew Chris was a man on the move. When he told me he was running for Swansea School Committee, I was not surprised. Join me this evening as we find out more about who Chris Carreiro is and what he can do for the Swansea schools. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Linda. I appreciate you doing the show.
Thank you. Well, one of the first questions is, why did you decide to run for public office for Swansea School Committee?
Well, I've been a Swansea citizen all my life. I'm a third-generation Swansea citizen. I've gone through the Swansea public school system from K to 12, and along the way, I've had some extraordinary experiences, as well as some areas where I feel that could need some improvement. And that's why I'm running, because I feel that I have some ideas, not just ideas. A lot of people run for office and they say, oh, I have great ideas and that's why you should elect me. Well, not the case here. I have ideas and I have a way to achieve those ideas. I have, more importantly, a plan.
Good, sounds very concrete to me. So what would be the first order of business that you'd engage in if you were elected?
Well, I have several orders of business that take top priority, and the first one is student achievement. That is something that we need to work on. We have a decreasing enrollment in the high school. According to the Herald News newspaper that was released several days ago, our dropout rate has increased and our enrollment has decreased. That's a big deal. It's something that needs to be addressed. We cannot put a blind eye to that. Another issue that's very important is Berkeley and Somerset have spoke about regionalization for their high school and leaving the door open to Swansea. And I don't see much dialogue between Swansea and those communities. And I'm not saying we should regionalize. There's definitely many things that should be considered before we even have the discussion. But I think it would be silly not to have the discussion, and Swansea should definitely take part in the dialogue between these communities. And I'd like to reinvigorate that and start a new dialogue with those communities.
Good. Well, I think that regionalization is a huge topic. It's not something easily undertaken, lightly undertaken, and something that takes a lot of energy and invigoration. Things change. So why? What would be the benefit of regionalization, or would you have another plan besides regionalization you might offer? Because I think it would take a lot of committee work. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot that needs to be done. Right now, Somerset High School has some structural deficiencies, and at this point in time, it's very difficult for them to facilitate Berkeley's 250 students. So they're forced to do something about that. And so is Berkeley, because they have no place to send their students to. So they've talked about regionalization, and the state, if they were to regionalize and build a new high school, the state would match 66% of the total cost of that building.
So do we stop you for a minute? So right now you're saying the Berkeley students are going to Somerset High School?
Yes.
That's how they're taking care of their problem?
Yes, Berkeley pays $7,900 per student tuition to go to the Somerset High School.
But you said Somerset's having structural problems?
Yes. So they've sat down and they've talked about regionalization. The state has come forth with a plan for them and the assistance, and like I said, 66% reimbursement for the cost of the school. That leaves them with 44% to
that they have to
pay
raise
for. Yes,
yeah.
And 44% of $100 million is a great deal of money.
Yes.
And I think Berkeley might have to do a 2.5 override to.
Now you mean that's an override, an increase in the real estate taxes?
A 2.5 override would be a 2.5% increase in taxes.
Yeah, right.
Or above whatever they pass.
Right.
And during these difficult economic times, I don't see Berkeley being in a position that they'd want to do that. So I think Swansea is an excellent candidate to take on those students. Like I said, our enrollment is down significantly. Our high school was built for 1,200 students. We currently have approximately 525 students attending Joseph Case High School, and we have a lot of room for more students. So I think that it would bring a tremendous amount of revenue, approximately $2 million in revenue, to Joseph Case High School and the Swansea School District district-wide. And would see improvements from K to 12.
Yeah. Sounds like an excellent idea, Chris, and you explained it very well. Not being from Swansea, I wasn't familiar with the problems of these communities, but you were able to simplify it and make it easy for me to understand. So beside regionalization, what other ideas might you have to upgrade the Swansea school system?
Well, technology is very important to me. Like I said, I attended Joseph Case High School. When I graduated and went on to college, I realized that there is a gap between the technology we have at Joseph Case High School and the technology that the colleges have. And I think that we need to make it more of a priority, not just to have technology in our schools, but to have updated software and new software, and the software that the private sector uses. We need to be teaching software like that. For instance, Microsoft Word, Excel. These are all certifications that, for instance, Diamond Regional teaches, but Swansea has yet to offer those certification programs.
Oh.
When I'm elected, I'd like to implement a program where these students can leave Joseph Case High School and be able to provide a service and not necessarily have to go to college. A lot of not every student's a student that wants to go to college, and I acknowledge that. And we need to have an end product of a student that is marketable to the private sector as well as the public sector.
That's very well said. You brought in the word private sector, and I know there's more and more talk of private sector. I mean, it's individual businesses getting involved with education, and there is some fear of coming in too strongly, but maybe that is the way the public schools have to go, is inviting them in. Are there any other ways you could see some private enterprise helping the public schools?
Yes.